In today's petite little video, we are going over lactate dehydrogenase, or there's no or, it is lactate dehydrogenase. Reset. Good morning, everybody. Today we are going over the significance of lactate dehydrogenase. And lactate dehydrogenase is an enzyme. We know it's an enzyme because of the A's, the ASE ending, and we know it is responsible for the dehydrogenation of lactate because its name is literally lactate dehydrogenase. So what lactate dehydrogenase is doing inside of your cell is it is dehydrogenating lactate to yield pyruvate, and it is using NAD to do this. So NAD comes in, we have NAD here, we have lactate here. The enzyme lactate dehydrogenase removes a hydrogen and electron off of lactate, sticks it on to reduce NAD+, and then it spits out NADH and pyruvate. That is the forwards reaction of lactate dehydrogenase, and we can also do the reverse reaction of lactate dehydrogenase. So in this video specifically, we are going over the forwards reaction, the reverse reaction, and then what is going on with alcohol detox and how lactate dehydrogenase kind of gets involved in alcohol metabolism. So we are actually going to start with the reverse reaction because I think this is what is the most intuitive. This is what's most intuitive. So for context, when are we running the reverse reaction? This is going to be happening inside of your cell under conditions of anaerobic metabolism. So when your cells have high rates of glycolysis, we are running the reverse lactate dehydrogenase reaction. So let's just flow through this right here. In glycolysis, we start up here with glucose. We process it down this enzymatic pathway, and we yield 2 NADH, 2 ATP, and 2 pyruvate. If there was oxygen present, which in this case there's not because we are talking about anaerobic metabolism, if there was oxygen, this NADH would be pulled into the mitochondria and pulled into the electron transport chain, and it's being pulled by oxygen. Oxygen is pulling on the electrons inside of NADH, and NADH enters the electron transport chain inside of your mitochondria, and the electrons go bump, 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 and we make a huge amount of ATP. In the case of anaerobic without oxygen metabolism, we are doing glycolysis and we are just pretending there is 0 oxygen present. So now there's no oxygen, there's no pull. We are stuck with pyruvate and NADH. Well, the problem is to actually be able to run glycolysis and extract energy out of that glucose molecule, we need NAD+. Well, we just did glycolysis and now we're stuck with NADH. Here is where lactate dehydrogenase comes in. To actually regenerate NAD+ such that we can continue doing glycolysis, we need to regenerate NAD+. We need to use, why did I say that so messed uply? To actually regenerate NAD+, after we've ran glycolysis and are stuck at NADH, we use lactate dehydrogenase. So I'll show you what that looks like here. Here is pyruvate. This is our end product of glycolysis. And here is NADH. This is what happens when we end glycolysis. We cannot do glycolysis again unless we have this NAD. LDH stands for lactate dehydrogenase, by the way. So here we have the enzyme, lactate dehydrogenase. We grab that pyruvate and we grab that NADH, and lactate dehydrogenase enzyme uses NADH to reduce pyruvate right here into lactate. So we go from the carbonyl group to the hydroxyl group, pyruvate into lactate. Once we are on this side of the equation, now we have NAD+ again. NAD+ is regenerated, and we can send that back to the top of glycolysis, and we can keep doing glycolysis over and over and over and over and over again, and we can keep on giving that cell energy. Here's the other problem, or the other thing that we need to pay attention to, is that when we run this reverse reaction, we also end up with lactate. what does that lactate do? Number one, that lactate could just be hanging out, floating around in circulation, and it can be acting as an acid and increasing the acidity of your blood or increasing the acidity around your cells or muscle tissue where it is being produced. Or it will travel all the way back to your liver and it will be used for gluconeogenesis. So what we're going to focus on right now is lactate being used for gluconeogenesis. So in your liver, lactate shows up, and the first thing your liver wants to do with it is turn it back into glucose. So this is when we are using the Forward's reaction of lactate dehydrogenase. Lactate, this little fellow here, enters your liver, and the enzyme lactate dehydrogenase grabs onto lactate, and it grabs onto NAD+, and it dehydrogenates lactate to give you pyruvate. And then it also spits out NADH. This is the Forward's, I know the arrow is going this way, but this is the Forward's reaction. The dehydrogenation of lactate yields pyruvate. As soon as we get this pyruvate in your liver, we can send it up gluconeogenesis. And it's very, very, very important to note that this is only happening inside of your liver and a little bit in your kidneys, but like mostly in your liver, that we are doing gluconeogenesis from lactate. So lactate goes up, gluconeogenesis, and now we have glucose, literally the exact opposite of glycolysis, and this glucose is released into your blood, and it can go to your brain, to your kidney, to your red blood cells, or it can go back to your hungry muscle tissue that was spitting out all this lactate in the first place. Now we are going to discuss the case of lactate, or the significance of lactate dehydrogenase as pertains to alcohol detox. So in alcohol detoxification, we start with alcohol or ethanol. And what we do to detoxify ethanol inside the liver cell is we process it through alcohol dehydrogenase. Alcohol dehydrogenase is quite similar to lactate dehydrogenase because it is a dehydrogenating enzyme, and both of these enzymes use NAD+ to oxidize their substrate and then spit out NADH and the oxidized product. So in the case of lactate dehydrogenase, we are using NAD+ to oxidize lactate and spit out NADH and pyruvate. In the case of alcohol dehydrogenase, we are using NAD+ to oxidize ethanol and then spit out acetaldehyde and NADH. If you are very, very drunk, you're drinking so much alcohol, like just huge amounts of ethanol keep getting pumped on into your liver, and your liver is just running its detoxification reactions like crazy, you are pumping out so much NADH. So every time a molecule of alcohol shows up into your liver cell and we run this alcohol dehydrogenase pathway, we are tapping into our NAD+ pool, and we are spitting out NADH and acetaldehyde. So alcohol comes in, acetaldehyde goes out. NAD+ comes in, NADH comes out. So after running this ADH pathway so many times, because there's so much alcohol, we have increasing NADH and decreasing NAD+. The alcohol dehydrogenase pathway depletes NAD+, and it increases NADH. And what we end up with in the cell is a very high NADH to NAD+ ratio. And this can dramatically impair your cell's metabolic processes, because we know that NADH can allosterically inhibit specific reactions. So NADH will turn off the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, and NADH will turn off alpha-ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, an enzyme in the tricarboxylic acid cycle. So this accumulation of NADH and depletion of NAD+ is a signal to your cell, and it is impairing energy metabolism. It's impairing fatty acid oxidation, and it's impairing glucose metabolism. Your cell does not like having this happen. It needs to deal with this problem. So what we do to deal with the problem of too much NADH going on is we use the enzyme lactate dehydrogenase to take that NADH and regenerate NAD+. We take pyruvate, the end product of glycolysis, or we could also be getting pyruvate from transamination reactions involving alanine and alpha-ketoglutarate, but that's going to be another topic for another day. What we need to focus on is that we take pyruvate and we take this NADH that we are getting from our alcohol dehydrogenation reactions, and we use the NADH to reduce pyruvate into lactate and spit out NAD+. This is really good because now we have restored balance to the NADH-NAD+ ratio. So we are restoring the cell's redox balance. Metabolism is a little happier. But now we have just made lactate, and that lactate is going to escape your liver into your blood, and it is going to act as an acid. It's lactic acid, and it can slightly acidify your blood. So this is how chronic alcoholism can cause lactic acidosis or acidification of your blood. It is because running the alcohol detox pathway produces NADH. Then we need to use a lactate dehydrogenase to deal with this NADH, and that spits out NAD+, which is good. We've regenerated NAD+, but then it sends lactate out into your blood, and lactate acts as an acid. It acts as a lactic acid, and it increases acidity in your blood. That was everything I wanted to talk about today. I hope you learned something super cool, fun, and exciting in this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought was super cool and what you thought was interesting. And then these are my notes for the video. I'm going to post a photo of this onto my website, nutritionbyelsa.com. You can download it and look at it for yourself if you can read my writing. If you can't read my writing, I'm really sorry, and I hope this video did an effective enough job at communicating everything I wanted to share. Okay, goodbye everybody. I'm gonna go outside, drink some water, and then film another video. Good morning, friends. In today's, oh my God, my armpits are getting sweaty already. Okay, I can't believe I just said that. I'm either gonna edit that out or keep that in, to be determined. Okay, 1, 2, 3, start. In the case of alcohol, okay,